Here in the Midwest, community is important.
Having a healthcare system that's looking out for us,
That's actively addressing the racial disparities in healthcare is important.
When we can get good quality care,
We can do more. We can achieve more.
we can be the kind of community we want to be, and that's really important.
UW Health. Remarkable medicine. Remarkable care.
Good afternoon, folks. This is Robert Chappell, Executive Editor of Madison365 with your daily update for Friday, a beautiful Friday afternoon, May 14th. We'll get right into it on the COVID front because the news is pretty good, generally speaking. There's one thing that is a little concerning that we'll talk about, but for the most part, the news is good. The positive test rate, as it was yesterday, is stuck at 3.0, which is fine. Okay. Now, that's kind of the key indicator. That's why I'm leading with that today. That's kind of the key number. That's the percentage of tests in the past 7 days that have returned positive results. We've been trying to get to 3.0, right? We actually were below 3.0 for a brief period of time, not too long ago. And it went back all the way up to 3.8, and now we're down to 3.0, which is great. And it's been kind of hovering right around 3.0 for 2 weeks. So it's kind of 3.2, 3.1. Now it's at 3.0 for the second consecutive day, which is great. Actual cases today, we had about a little more than 4,100 new test results come in. 513 of those were positive, which is actually on the low side. It's lower than it was last Friday, which is, that's anytime we're going down, that's great. We are at 539 cases per day for the past 7 days, which is lower than it has been recently. We're only reporting one fatality today. Yesterday we had 18 that I mentioned, and those from yesterday and the day before were actually more recent fatalities. Like 6 or 7 of those were from the month of May, just in the past couple of weeks. A few of these, over the past couple of weeks, we've had some days that have reported more fatalities, like 15 or 20 fatalities, but they've been from February, March, January, December that are just now getting reported and confirmed. So those were a bit falsely, it felt like there were more deaths happening than there actually were. There were deaths that happened earlier. Yesterday, though, it was actually more recent fatalities. Today, only reporting one. So yesterday was just kind of a bump there. So we'll keep an eye on that. The total death toll now, still bad, 6,954. So, to be honest with you, it's probably over 7,000 by now. And we'll be continuing to report fatalities from previous months and, from last week and from last month. But the real number is probably more than 7,000 or probably even higher than that, actually. The news that's concerning to me today is the variants, and the variants are things that get reported every Thursday. And unfortunately, I hadn't had a chance when I came on yesterday. I hadn't had a chance yet to look at these, but in the past week, state DHS has tested 810 samples, which is to say they've taken 810 positive coronavirus cases, sequenced the genome of the virus, which is just remarkable that we can do this, right? This is like science fiction happening, and determined that of those 810 cases, 675 were B117. That's 58%. B117 is the UK variant. It is not more dangerous to you as an individual if you catch that virus. If you catch that strain of it, it's not going to do any more damage to you than any other kind of coronavirus would. However, it is more contagious. Therefore, it is more dangerous to the community. And there's been some, findings that this variant is spreading among children at schools. So when you start to see that kind of ramp up, last week it was a little less. It's like 57%. The week before that, it was about 50%. So it's growing as a proportion of the new cases. Is that B117 variant? We also had 3 more cases of the South Africa variant, 36 more cases of the Brazil variant, and about 42 more cases of the California variant. So, it's reasonable to think that of those, what did we say, 400 something cases today? Almost 60% of those are going to be some form of variant. 513 cases. 270 of those are probably UK variant. Now, why is that a problem? I mentioned because those variants are more contagious. That leaves me feeling like there's a potential for if an outbreak happens somewhere of that variant, that it could spread very quickly, and these numbers could turn the wrong direction very quickly. What is encouraging, though, is that hasn't happened yet. Right? I mentioned basically 3 weeks that UK variant has been half of the cases, and we haven't seen a big spike, a big surge. We've seen numbers, that positive test rate continuing to go down slowly but surely down toward 3.0. Okay, so all the I don't want to be Chicken Little about the variants. I don't want to say oh no, everything's going to go crazy because of the variants. Because there's no evidence that that's happening right now. It's not happening. Like, the variants are there. They're present in the population, but they have not, at this point, caused a big surge in cases. So, and anybody who tells you that, any minute now the world's going to come crashing down is just not being rational. The numbers tell us that things continue to go okay. And I think part of that is because we are getting to the point where we've got almost half of the population of Wisconsin with at least one dose of vaccine. 44.9% of Wisconsin has gotten at least one shot. 38.9% of us are fully vaccinated, or at least have gotten both shots. And, you're not really fully vaccinated until shot number 2 plus 2 weeks, right? But 38.9 have gotten both shots percent. That's 2.25 million people, which means there are probably about 2 million people who are eligible for vaccine who haven't gotten it yet. So get on it if that's you. A lot of people have barriers. A lot of people have hesitancy. We understand that. But if it's just an inconvenience for you, find a way to get it. Because that's your contribution to ending this virus. Now, speaking of vaccines, the Boys and Girls Club of Dane County, we had the youth town hall yesterday. It was really great. They're having a cookout very soon, 4:30 today, down at the Allied Drive location. If you're on the south side of Madison, stop by and get something to eat and get some little bit of information about vaccines. And then tomorrow, they're going to have vaccines available from 10 to noon. So anybody that comes by, get your Pfizer shot. Get your Pfizer shot number 1. That's a pretty walkable neighborhood. So if you live down there, it's not too hard to get to the Boys and Girls Club and stop by and get your vaccine. And with that, we were going to take a short break, and we'll come back with some more news about some other vaccine stuff happening around the state, as well as some sports news and some other fun stuff. So stay with us. Don't scroll away. We'll be back right after this. And thinking of Madison College for supporting the show today. Today, on the site this morning, Madison365.org, Reporter Mackenzie Crum has a profile of the Blast kickboxing gym and Shaw Evans. You see Shaw right here, right there. That's Shaw Evans. He's also a music producer. He's one of the founders of the Urban Community Arts Network, so the local nonprofit that supports hip hop music in Madison. Does the Hip Hop Music Awards. He's also a music booker. But he bought this gym in 2018, and they had like 5 students at the time, and now he's up to 30 regular clients. He's just in the past week or so has really started opening up to more youth classes and stuff, and kind of emerging from pandemic. But also during the pandemic, he's still been coaching some specific athletes, and one of them is going to be Luke Leslie is his name. He drives up from Dubuque once or twice a week to train with Shaw, and he will be on pay-per-view in Miami at an event on June 12th. So that's kind of exciting for a local gym, a kickboxer from a local gym to be making kind of the big time. So Shaw has some really interesting things to say about the sport and about training and the psychology behind it in that profile. If you just check Madison365.org today, that story is there. Also in Madison Museum of Contemporary Art will present an exhibit called Amends. It's a community-based art project that's going to focus on racism and eradicating racism. This is Bob Faust on the left and Nick Cave on the right. Those are both Chicago-based artists. They collaborate quite a bit. They did this project in Chicago shortly after the murder of George Floyd last year. And they're going to open this exhibit, which is, again, it's collaborative with the community. So there's going to be some community elements to it, some community contributions, and it's going to open on Juneteenth, which is 19th of June, and will be available there at Momoka, downtown Madison, until October 24th. So stop by and check that out later this summer. In Appleton, if you're in the Fox Cities, you can get your vaccine tomorrow at Taper's Barbershop. I spoke with Kanan Davenport, who's co-owner of that shop, and their whole thing is that the barbershop in the Black community, in Appleton especially, is kind of a hub for the community. A lot of people who are new to Appleton come to the shop, ask where to get good food, where's the best mechanic, that kind of stuff. But also, that's where you can go to be with people that you trust. And that's a big, big deal when it comes to getting a vaccine. There's a lot of well-earned mistrust between Black communities and the medical establishment, right? So he's not, the people at the shop are not telling you should get a vaccine. They're telling you if you want one, we got them. They also produced a video with some doctors and some other folks talking about why the vaccines are safe and effective, but still, so that you can make an informed decision, not necessarily to try to push it on you. If you do stop by and get a vaccine tomorrow between 10 and 2, they'll give you a free chicken dinner from Jimmy's Chicken and Fish in Appleton, which is a fantastic local restaurant up there. So it's a local grassroots movement to make the vaccine available without necessarily pushing it on anybody. It's important for Appleton. It's important for statewide. I was just looking yesterday. I mentioned 38.9% of the state is vaccinated. 36-something% of white people are vaccinated fully. 16.8% of the Black community in Wisconsin is vaccinated. That's just unacceptable. It's a 20-point difference between white and Black. And a lot of it has to do with, it's not hesitancy necessarily. There's some skepticism, I think, among Black communities. But it's also access. So if you don't have regular access to a doctor, if you can't just suddenly take a day off of work, stop by Taper's Barbershop tomorrow. Stop by the Allied Drive Boys and Girls Club tomorrow here in Madison. There are, people are really making a real concerted effort to make it easy for you to get that vaccine. And then in Milwaukee, Marquette University has named Samira Payne the first ever director of Black Student Initiatives at Marquette. The creation of this position is a product of negotiations between university leadership and the Black Student Council last summer. That's according to a press release from Marquette. This role was developed in collaboration with the President's Commission on Racial Equity. And she will be responsible for tracking progress of initiatives and programs aimed at increasing recruitment and retention of Black students and improving the overall campus climate there at Marquette. Samira Payne will report to Dr. William Welburn, who's the Vice President for Inclusive Excellence at Marquette in Milwaukee. Finally, in sports, Forward Madison returns to Breese Stevens Field tomorrow night. I am excited. This is the first time it'll be 601 days since they had a home game here at Breese Stevens. They've got a good-looking squad. They take on North Carolina Football Club, who is new to USL League One, but it's not a new club. They played in USL Championship last year. They played in NISL and ASL in previous years. They used to be called Carolina Railcats. If you're a lower-level soccer person, you know that name. But anyway, it'll be a fun match. They're going to have 4 sections of tickets that is sold to unvaccinated or to fully vaccinated people, rather. They have socially distanced tickets for season ticket holders, and it should be a lot of fun downtown tomorrow. And hoping that they can start to bring in larger crowds into June. We will see how that goes, but it should be an exciting atmosphere. Hopefully, it's a very good game as well. So that's the news for today. We know that we're going to keep an eye on public health Madison-Dane County. One other note I'll mention, Rock County immediately ended its mask mandate today. So no more masks required in Rock County. Would not be surprised if Dane County does something similar. They have indicated publicly that they will make a decision or an announcement on Tuesday next week. So we will be on top of that, and we will let you know as soon as we know what Dane County decides to do with masks. I wouldn't be surprised if they lifted the mandate with strong suggestion that if you're not vaccinated, you should wear a mask. Because that's kind of the CDC guidelines right now. So whatever Dane County decides and announces, we will definitely let you know as soon as we know. So have a wonderful weekend. One other thing I'll mention also, sorry. Tomorrow from 11 to 1, there's a demonstration downtown Madison at the Capitol in support of Palestinians. There's been obviously a big lot of conflict between Israelis and Palestinians in the last week or so. We haven't covered it a lot just because it's not a local thing, but there's a local demonstration tomorrow, so we will be covering that. Our reporter, photographer, Fatima Sise, will be there. So watch for that coverage tomorrow afternoon as well. That's all I have for you today. Have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you back here on Monday.
This is 365 Media.